I wanted to ask you, from your perspective as an MP of Sembawang, what does this integration of this through the Johor-Singapore Economic Zone, what's the promise for you?
I would say one of the most painful things that happened during the pandemic was that the Causeway was closed. Yeah, in fact, the causeways were closed. The two links were closed. And you sever ties between Johor Bahru, Johor State, and Singapore. It was so painful for so many people, Malaysians and Singaporeans. And so at that time, I also worked with my counterpart, Khairi, at that time. We did whatever we can, work with our trade and industries colleagues to reopen the causeway as soon as we can. And I'm glad it opened. But it just showed that when you lost something at that time, then you realize how close you are. So now I'm Sembawang. We share a border. My constituency, my GRC, shares a border with Johor Bahru. Yeah. We're going to have an RTS next year, end of next year. If everything goes smoothly, it will open 10,000 passengers per hour each way. So there's a lot of exchanges. 100,000, 200,000 exchanges a day. Yeah. Right. I think it changes the landscape totally. As I tell my residents, and sometimes they tell me, but then going to Johor is easier than going to Orchard Road, Yeah. As it is going by the causeway, they felt that immigration is not that big a hassle, right? I went to Johor twice in December. Once I went by normal channel, and it was very convenient. You pass your passport to the immigration officer. A minute later, they pass you back, which is a similar experience I had when I traveled from Shenzhen. From Hong Kong to Shenzhen. And I think people are feeling that kind of ease and convenience. And with RTS, it's going to be even easier. Yeah. And so you start to feel that actually the economies are so intertwined. Another trip I went, also in December, I wanted to take a look around Bukit Jaga, right? Because the two stations, the Singapore side station, it was Woodlands North, which is the RTS station, on our side in Sembawang GRC. On the other side is near the checkpoint, Bukit Jaga, also near City Square. So when I go over, walking around City Square, was hanging around the atrium, and I hear people say, Minister Ong, can I take a photo with you? So I turned around, it's my resident. So I took a photo, and then another voice said, Minister Ong, can I take a photo with you? And I turned around, I don't know that person. I say, where do you live? They say, it's Jurong. But they came over to JB. And then soon you have a crowd of people, you get that sometimes as a minister attending an event here, but I don't expect that in Johor. After a while, taking photo, I asked, where are you from? Some Malaysians are asking to take photo. They say, I know you, I saw you on TV. It was like, well, is this even legal? Am I doing anything illegal? It shows the closeness of the two peoples. So I think there's great opportunity. But at the same time, I would say three things that will affect us once RTS is open. Number one is investment. And I think future investments will look into not just Singapore, but also leverage on Johor. How do I configure my division of labor so that I benefit on the strengths of both sides? Number two is flow of people. I would expect many Malaysian work permit holders, they may stay in Johor and commute over to work. And making it a lot easier. Thirdly is consumption. That is where we need to be quite careful, because a lot of consumption is going to go over. Retailers, coffee shops, I think will feel the pressure, which is why I'm also working with MTI to see how can we help this group, especially those in the north. They need to be able to survive. Costs, we need to find a way to help them moderate. How to also rejuvenate their business. How to encourage some of them to open outlets on the other side, benefiting from the market, the other side. I think these are some of the practical things we are looking into.
Economic integration will look a lot more like what you shared earlier about Hong Kong and Shenzhen, the Yangtze River Delta. You can kind of balance the synergies more in terms of FDI coming in.
I think different. No? I don't want it to become Hong Kong Shenzhen.
But there are similarities.
Some in the sense that it's two territories that is very closely connected. In the case of Hong Kong, they wind down their manufacturing many years ago and they moved to Shenzhen. And then over time, Shenzhen also have a big renaissance in startups, in R&D, digital, creative sectors, even AI. And then plus the consumption in Hong Kong move over to Shenzhen.
Yeah.
So actually it is a situation that's quite challenging for Hong Kong, I find. It is not the situation we want to be in.
Yeah.
We have always kept engineering.
Yeah.
We have always kept manufacturing. We are still a hub for tourism, for R&D, and we should keep that. But now I think with Johor integrated with our economy, more closely integrated with our economy, I think we have to see how to make ourselves even better. The other example we look at will be, say, New York, New Jersey, but neither do I think that describes things accurately, because action is all in New York. New Jersey is just a suburb where people go to live and to spend. Not even spend. I think they still spend in New York. I don't think Johor is that. Johor is actually very vibrant with a lot of offerings. Yeah. So I think you look around the world, I can't find an exact situation that we want to emulate. Yeah. But this is something quite unique, that we have to make the best use of.
From my perspective is that, we definitely want to keep an industrial base here, because we are starting to see the huge cost of deindustrializing an economy when they don't have that kind of industrial base or engineering capability.
Yes.
And your economy atrophies very quickly.
Yeah.
The question I had then would be, if you were to look at the ideal state for the economy as an MP, right? What would that look like for Singapore after this integration?
My involvement in RTS and in Johor is because of Sembawang GRC. Yeah. So it's in my capacity as an MP.
Yeah.
There is some interest in healthcare because Singaporeans do go over for their for their treatments, including outpatient scans, for example, dental treatments, for example. Yeah. So these are policy issues that we need to look at some point about Singaporeans going to Johor to seek medical treatment. But by and large, my involvement is one of an MP. Yeah. And I think there is a lot of opportunities we can work on. I know that my residents are looking forward very much to the opening of RTS and stretching their dollar there. I always tell them, I go over to eat char kway teow. It's 8 ringgit, 12 ringgit, If not of the exchange rate, if the exchange rate is still 1-to-1, which is the case when I grew up, it's actually very expensive plate of char kway teow, We only find it affordable because of the favorable exchange rate in our favor. So Singapore economy must always do well. And the dollar is strong. We can stretch our dollar when we go overseas. Consumption is one big aspect that is very relevant to my residents in Sembawang. But also, I think in terms of the ease of workers from Johor, those with work permit coming over to work, that is also very positive for many of our employers. We need to cushion the downside for retail, for F&B in the north, and working with MTI on that. But all in all, I think it's a very positive development, especially for us in the north. So my counterpart on the other side, around Bukit Jaga, I have two counterparts, because there's the state MP and there's the federal MP. State MP is Andrew Chen. Federal MP is Liu Jin-tiong. He's a vice minister. So I'm in touch with both of them. So when the RTS open, I think we should look at how we can host each other's residents more frequently. It is very odd. I think first time in Singapore we have this kind of situation where I find that I'm so close to another constituency that is in another country. Closer than, say, East Coast or West Coast or Tanjong Pagar even. But I think this is how the people traffic will flow in future. Andrew Chen tell me an interesting story, which is during COVID. We talk about how COVID severed ties and it was so painful. So he was saying he cut his teeth as an MP because during COVID, so many Malaysians were working in Singapore and they continue to want to work in Singapore, but because the Causeway is closed, they can't go back. Some of them are mothers, and so their babies are back in Johor, and they were breastfeeding the babies, but they're stuck in Singapore. So he found a fruit seller in Sembawang. Being a fruit seller, he knows how to maintain a cold chain. So the mothers express their milk, send to the fruit seller, who then refrigerate properly, tag every mother to every baby, and then truck it over. And deliver to the babies. In 2 years, over the 2 years of the pandemic, delivered 65,000 kilograms of breast milk.
Wow.
It's an amazing story, you know.
Yeah. Literally a ground up cold chain.
Yeah, ground up cold chain through a fruit seller in Sembawang. I should go and pay the fruit seller a visit.